Hello and welcome to the CBD Pharmacist YouTube channel. I'm Sean Gale and I'm your CBD Pharmacist. Welcome back to I think what's going to be a very popular topic. It's one I get asked a lot of questions on. And don't be ashamed if you have to ask, will CBD cause me to fail a drug test? Or is it going to make me high? So these are all common questions I have. People are sometimes sheepish about it. But we'll dive into this topic today. And it's a somewhat controversial subject. I've heard all kinds of different viewpoints on it. And I'm not saying that mine's right, but I've seen a lot of people in the industry making observations, whether it's about drug interactions, about dosing, side effects, how CBD works. We're going to talk about like opiates later and how it works for anxiety and pain and all that stuff. And it's almost like you're on the outside looking, like they can see what happens, but they don't really understand why. So, I'm hopeful here as your local pharmacist, peel back the curtain a little bit, take a look and see what's inside. Let's see, maybe understand a little bit why this happens. And this is where a medical professional such as myself gives good insight into this industry that you're really not going to find anywhere else. So I would encourage you, stay tuned in here, stay plugged in, ask questions, make comments below, send me emails, get a one-on-one consultation. I specialize in complicated, all right? So the more complicated, the better. I've been doing pharmacy a long time, since 1992, and I enjoy helping people, making a difference. And sometimes it's a no. Sometimes people ask me about CBD and we kind of talk about it and it may not be a good fit. So I'm not here to convince you, I'm just here to educate you. And hopefully we can figure out those answers here. So drug testing is one of those ones where I probably don't have a lot of inside information other than I was involved at my job at helping develop this policy and understanding how drug testing works. And I have some industry insiders I've talked to a little bit about it too, help form my opinion. So like everything I've done in these courses, in my book, which you can see there, or my online course, these are all opinions I formed by research. And you can find those research, you can look at my book and to see those options in there. I list out all the the resources that I've used. So this isn't just me just forming an opinion based upon what people tell me. People tell me a lot, and then I go and I research it and say, oh, okay, this makes sense, and why does this make sense, and why are you having this side effect? And this is just what I do. It's my job, and what I was trained to do. So this is another topic that I want to kind of have some maybe middle of the road points of view on. But I'll just start off by saying we talk about drug interactions, drug testing. You can see the first slide here. There's no definite answers. So sorry to burst your bubble or let the cat out of the bag too soon. If you're consuming CBD, you are consuming a hemp plant, which is in the same family as marijuana, and that is a ban. THC is a banned substance for drug testing, so there's always a risk. Even with broad spectrum, which has zero THC, I say, there's still some THC. The only real form that you're not going to run into that is the CBD isolate. The full spectrum has a little bit of THC in it. So you may ask, Sean, am I going to test positive with the full spectrum product? And I'm going to say, hold your horses a minute, and we'll get there. So let's just first talk about the differences between hemp and marijuana. Okay, so hemp being a naturally low THC product, a plant, marijuana, high THC plant. Now I'm going to show you a picture here, which kind of shows these two plants. You can kind of see some of the differences in the leaf structure, and I mentioned before, one's kind of low and bushy, one's typically tall. Hemp is naturally low in THC, but it can get higher amounts of THC. You just have to be careful with the hemp plant. But the government said it has to be at 0.3% or less, which is some arbitrary number that they determine that you can't get high off of. So no, you're not going to get high off of CBD. It's impossible. Matter of fact, CBD taken with THC lowers the high. All right, so it actually affects the metabolism of THC and makes it less potent. All right, so kind of a cool little fact that you're learning here today, free of charge. And so the products or the plants are very similar. Characteristics you can see are kind of similar. So we're talking about two very similar plants from the same genus, just different family. It's like dogs are all canines, so that's kind of we're kind of talking that way with hemp and marijuana are in the same family. but they're not the same plant. They have different characteristics. So do drug tests monitor for CBD and THC? No and yes. They have no reason to monitor for CBD because CBD does not make you high by itself. It's the THC part is what they're concerned about. Yes, they monitor for THC, has to hit certain amounts in order to test positive, but yes, that is a possibility. So you really can't test positive for CBD. I kind of put that, that's a little bit of a tricky question, but no, you can't test positive for CBD because they don't test for it. I'm sure there's a way to measure it. I don't know if it's out there, but drug testing isn't concerned about substances that don't affect you or make you high. So what's critical to know is what's in your CBD. So we're going to talk about that for a minute here. It is my opinion that most people that test positive that are on CBD is because they're getting tainted CBD. They're getting CBD with more THC than you should. Any grower of hemp is supposed to have their product verified that it has less than 0.3% THC. If it's left out in the field too long, some strains get hot and they get too much THC, then you're in trouble. So there's a way, and we're going to talk about this more, but there's a way to confirm what's in your CBD to make sure that you're not getting the wrong product. As I think it's just unlikely that even though THC it's a fat soluble substance, it gets stored in your body, stays in there a long time. That's why when you get drug tests, you can test positive a month later depending upon how high of a user you are. I go through more detail of this in my book, my online course. I go through the numbers a little bit more. I'm not going to get into those today. They don't translate as well to the screen. And if you want more, you reach out to me or get my book. That's always a good place to go. So looking at these COAs is really the next step. So a COA being a certificate of analysis, which is what the drug manufacturer does or grower does after they've harvested the hemp and they've manufactured it. They have it tested. So hopefully they have it tested when it's harvested and tested when it's in its final product form. And it tells you how much CBD, how much all these other cannabinoids, these terpenes, flavonoids are in the plant. And so it's going to help you determine if it's legal or not. So it should tell you, is there less than 0.3% THC? Are there any impurities in the soil? So when you look at this next picture here, the picture on the left is about the impurities, and in the results it says ND means not detected, and it gives you the values of what they look for, because some impurities, it may sound weird, are seen as okay if it's low enough. You just don't want it to be enough amount that's going to be a negative effect. And the other one is this Botanicor, who I've worked with before, there being people there, is what's in your CBD product. So you can see 1,590, what does that say, 96 milligrams. So remember, this is a plant product we're talking about with CBD. This isn't like a manufacturing ingredient. So you just want to make sure you have at least 1,500 milligrams in the bottle. It's never going to be directly on the button, or maybe a very, very rare one is. And so that's why we have to make sure everything else is in there is up to a minimum level. So we want THC to be below 0.3%, which it says on here is 0.1. Sorry, the print's really small on my screen. And then you can see all these other cannabinoids in here, these acidic forms. We're going to talk about those later. CBD, Delta 9, THC is what we're concerned about. And we can see this is a good product. So you know that taking this product here that's in this, been monitored by Botanicor is going to be safe because it has the legal levels of THC and CBD, which I think just makes it much less likely for you to test positive. And you make sure the COA is provided from a reputable lab, not the same place as the manufacturer. Make sure there's no affiliation, make sure they're independent, make sure the lab has certifications. I go over more detail of that in my book, but basically you're making sure that they're certified, and it's pretty easy. You look at a website, you get a good feel if they're legit or not. But I can help you make a judgment. It seems like a handful of labs that do a lot of the testing. So you want to make sure that those labs have done their due diligence to make sure that they're accurate with what they're testing. All right, and so making sure you have a good product with the right amount of CBD, THC in it is very important. So you're not getting anything that's tainted or hot that has too much THC, which is going to cause you to test positive. Okay. This last slide, I go over more in my course, which is the testing process, why it's important for us, the largest CBD dose, some other myths about CBD, and I go over that more in detail. But the core thing is making sure you know what's in your product, how much you're taking, know the policies at your workplace. Make sure that if it does positive, that you may have a way to talk about what you're doing. If you're, say, in the government or police force, I think the military now has okay taking CBD. I think you're seeing more and more of that, but some of these other places have not. You make sure it's worthwhile for you. I don't want to talk you into taking something that's causing you to lose your job. And that's the last thing I want to happen to you. So you can look to isolate, or CBD is not right for you. Okay, if you're in a kind of job where you can lose that. So we want to be careful here, moderation, but just looking at the testing process, how it does it, how it measures it. I just know it's very, very unlikely. Someone that takes a small dose, it's like a 0.2%, like an average dose, 150 milligrams a day CBD, which is pretty high, has like less than 1% chance of testing positive, so it's very small. All right, so some good news, I think. Let's be a little conservative here. Let's not go too crazy with it. The more CBD you take, the higher risk you do run, but we just want to be, for moderate, taking the right way with the right product. I think you're going to see some good success with your drug tests. All right, that's just my opinion. I think there's always outliers, but from what I've seen and read, if you're taking an accurate dose, that it's a small percentage, not zero, just a small percentage. So that's my message to you today. So as always, feel free to send me comments, questions, queries. Look at send me emails or ask questions below. I'm happy to help navigate this process for you. And we're going to keep moving on. We're looking at the next subject is the immune system. So we're going to study, I think, one of CBD's most potent effects on your body is how it affects the immune system. It's fun stuff, I think. So let's get digging in and keep learning about CBD. See you in a minute. Hopefully a minute. Bye.